I think the ZBs were just that good, and there were only 2 FGX drivers that year that were actually able to challenge for good results, and that was Chaz and Scotty. Everybody else was struggling. But even Chaz was frustrated and Scotty was frustrated too because they felt like they had to do huge amounts to make the car be good. And obviously with Richie, he was going to be the 4th car in the pecking order. So his engineer was Sam Potter, who was not very experienced. It was his 2nd year as a race engineer. But then, you know, but also, yeah, I think Richie was. I don't think the ZB was that much better. Yeah, it's difficult to say. Like the Mustang, you think the Mustang was way better? So you said so the ZB versus the FGX wasn't wasn't that much better, but the Mustang versus the ZB was way better. Yeah, we'd have to find some like clips or something to really see that. Because I was watching the race today, and thinking about straight line speed. Brock Feeney was so much faster than Chaz on the exits. Watching Holdsworth in the top fives, he only had like a couple of top fives. He wasn't that having that great a time. He and once they'd they clipped the rear wing at Perth, beating SVG, and SVG is doing a flawless race at Perth. Really, is that Perth? Because he had back-to-back ones. He had Perth and Winton. 2019. Because the thing that I noticed the most was that Mustangs were on the podium in pretty much every single race. To see but my argument at the time was, look, you've got 2 Ford teams that also just happen to be the 2 of the best teams in the category, right? They were good in 2017, 2018, and now they've got a good car. Now they're good. They're still good. So, but you're saying Holdsworth. He got a 5th at Winton. That's where he got. Holdsworth was not doing that well. I expected him to do a lot better in the Tickford Mustang because his teammates were doing so much better than him. So, look at Scotty Mac. He's Scott McLaughlin, right? He's just ridiculously good. Yeah, you want to say that? Well, let's have a look at 2021 Shane Van Gisbergen, and we'll scream parody then, won't we? Let's hang on. How do I do this? Because that's what it'll be like, right? Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's not that obvious. Yeah, so here's VG there. Alright. I'm running out of brain power tonight, so I'm gonna wrap this up. It's not the domination that's the problem. Well, what is it? Because Scott McLaughlin was already really good. All right, we can look at 2018, and he was still putting together a really strong season. So give him a car with parity, he'll be up there still. If he finishes the races first. All right. Those two instead it was Fabian, so we'll just see the spread in results. In terms of spread in terms of what? How many people won races? 2019, it's only him winning in the Mustang. Chaz and Fabian. So Chaz got one, Fabian got two, and then Triple Eight got the other ones. But it's mostly Scotty. Chaz got one because because Chaz was coming second all weekend. And I think I've got in my PowerPoint presentation on most consistent drivers, that DNS meant that Scotty didn't get the most consecutive top 10s of the year. Shane Van Gisbergen did because of this stretch here, SVG cooking. Just kept on grabbing top results. But SVG, it's not like SVG wasn't great at qualifying either. It was actually Jamie who was doing a way better job in that regard in 2019. So, maybe something to come back to. Jamie was slow in 2019. All right, let me get out the stuff. Triple Eight car just looked shit. All right, I'm gonna get the book out. You're gonna see. And from Bathurst it came alive. Yeah, we say that. Hang on, here we go. 2019. So here's Whincup, right? He's qualifying top 10 pretty regularly. He's out qualifying SVG a bit more often. It didn't come alive from Bathurst. They just clipped the Mustang that hard because Triple Eight kept on whinging. And so they got what they wanted. And then they were top 4 again in every single race. But they were still qualifying right at the front. It would have been more suspicious if they were dropping positions every single race, but they weren't really. You got, let's think of a good example of a certain track. You're talking about, like even Perth, like Whincups, third down to fourth, second stage second. I think the first race, Chaz's engine died. I just think when you see the best team getting beat by other teams that aren't as good as them, it gets sus. Getting beat by DJR or Tickford, 2020 makes sense. Yeah. Scotty is better than them. Yeah, Scotty was just an incredible driver. So he wins. Yeah, that makes sense. Yep. But I think also in 2019, weren't Erebus beating Triple Eight? They were, I think, no, Erebus. Erebus said they were beating Triple Eight, but I don't think they really were. Super consistently beating Triple Eight in that era. I'm like, something's not right. Yeah. But I think they were also having other issues. I think Triple Eight were having other issues. SVG wasn't always doing an amazing job. Obviously, the Mustang was just incredible at the Grand Prix. So they were struggling a little bit there. In races, they were often the fastest Holden. Yeah. You got third down to fourth, 6 up to second, third. That's why they said they're beating Triple Eight. Oh, Erebus were the fastest Holdens. Yeah. Right. They might have been the fastest, but I don't think they were racking up the results. Spring change. Yeah, the linear spring dampers. That Gary Rogers had actually never run linear spring dampers until 2019, so that nerfed Triple Eight so bad. You reckon? They were still running up the front at Adelaide, though. Like, race 1, they're still up the front. But maybe because everyone else is shit. Yeah. Maybe worth a deep dive at some stage. I think that'd be good. To get right into it and really see if there's some real evidence. Triple Eight usually dominates at Adelaide. They usually have They usually have fast cars at Adelaide, and that's probably the definition of dominate, because it means that something has to happen to stop you winning. Like last year, they dominated. Brock Feeney won the first one. Will Brown won the second one. The only driver I see beating them is Scotty. Yeah, and Scotty was beating them 2017 through to 20. Scotty was beating them constantly. He was out qualifying them, and once he got his starts right, he was out racing them as well. And that's, SVG got pretty dirty. When he beats them, I'm like, okay, yeah. I remember in 2020, like, it was like 15-second lead in a 200k race. Bro, this car is OP. Yeah. Yeah, 15-second lead. Yeah, what was it? Townsville 2018. They took it in turns, destroying everyone. Whincup was like 22 seconds up the road on SVG, and the next day SVG does the exact same thing. And then there's Scotty, starts third, finishes third. This is as good as this car can be. But DJR Team Penske weren't a Triple Eight, so and it's sort of hard to, like, Scotty was really good. The team around him was really good, but they weren't. You think they were better? No, McLaughlin was better. Fabian Coulthard was not at the same level as either SVG or Whincup on the day. Like, they didn't have like the 2-car team. Basically, they had one guy who was really, really insanely good, and the other guy who was good enough to score top 10s.